While the world scrolls, we build. While others talk, we turn wrenches, wire walls, and shape futures.
Trade isn't just what we do, it's who we are.
Welcome to Beyond the Trade, where we go deeper than the toolbox, beyond the classroom, into the real stories, skills, and sparks that make the trades thrive.
Brought to you by NESC Technical Institute, where skill meets purpose.
Today we are joined with Christian from CAT. Hello Christian, how are you today?
Hi Samara, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
And we know you as Christian from CAT, but those who don't know you, tell us a little about yourself and what do you do?
Sure. Well, as I said, if you're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, check out Christian from CAT. But generally, I am a salesman. I sell Caterpillar equipment. I'm a heavy construction and work tool salesman at Massey Machinery Limited in Chaguanas. You might know them as formerly as Truckmac. Now they're Massey CAT.
And you would have studied psychology in UE. So how did you go from psychology to a heavy equipment salesperson?
Well, so that's a common misunderstanding that people have. Like, you know, when you talk about psychology, they think, oh, counseling and mental health and all that stuff. But the psychology that they offer in UE is actually very heavy in statistics and data analysis. So, especially for my final year project, would have been very research based. And I mean, you do courses, behavioral psychology, cognitive neuroscience, and that kind of stuff. But the main emphasis is on statistical analysis. And well, I mean, it also helps with my field that I did 1 year in civil engineering before going across to psychology.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's a whole story by itself.
And do you think that psychology would have helped you understand the psychology of potential customers and buy-in?
Yeah. I think so because, well, I mean, if you're in sales, you also have your foot in marketing as well. And you need to be able to know how to read data, analyze data, and then act on that data. So it allowed me to look at the market, see who's buying, who's not buying, and you kind of get to more streamline your sales approach. How do you approach different customers? How do you approach different clients? And I mean, the whole psychology part of it too, you know, you get to talk to people, you get to understand people, what their wants are, what their needs are. I mean, it's not an exact science, but it helps.
And how is it like on the sales end of heavy equipment? Okay, you did your civil engineering and you did paired with the psychology. Were you always passionate about sales and specifying in heavy equipment, or were there any passions elsewhere?
Well, I would be lying if I said when I was small I wanted to be a salesperson for heavy equipment. But I mean, the interest was always there. You know, when you were small, you're looking at these big mega project shows on Discovery, watching, I don't know if anybody ever watched Gold Rush. They had a whole quarry built around mining gold. And, you know, as you grew up, you kind of had that interest. When you saw a big skyscraper going up or some civil works going on, road construction, you had an interest. Now, my earliest memory of Caterpillar was, you know, when I started university, going up the highway from south every week, twice a week. You know, you saw what was formerly Truckmac, now Massey CAT, with the excavators on the side of the road, and you recognize the equipment. I remember when I now went in for my interview at Massey CAT, it was a moment I would remember, because you were like, oh, look, you reach inside the compound. I think the passion that you're talking about, that really started probably from when, well, my boss now in the interview, he would have told me, well, I asked about training, you know, I'm not specialized in heavy equipment. He was like, don't worry, I'm going to drown you in training. And well, so said, so done. Level training, online training. And we had about several training sessions as well. 2 international persons came down from the US, Colombia, Brazil, Panama. And we got training in all sorts of things, paving, road construction, and then specialized application training in like excavators, bulldozers, motor graders, and you know, the whole range of the fleet that Caterpillar offers. And that's really where the passion started. You learn about the different configurations, you learn about the different applications for all these machines, and you realize it's not just an excavator, it's not just a bulldozer, it's not just just equipment. Everything has a reason for how it's built and why it's where it is.
Okay, and we know in modern times social media is everything. So you have to be on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, constantly promoting, and you do that. What is that side like? Are you ever even in office, or is it constantly promoting, going to trade shows?
Well, the thing is, well, my job doesn't. I don't need to be in the office 24/7. I mean, there is an aspect of it. You need to do your reports, whatever. Now, to say I'm not on a job site all the time. A lot of times you may be in customers' offices. If you had to meet the boss, you had to meet the mechanic, technician, whoever. The real trick to it is balance. You need to know what you're putting out on social media. And I mean, just a disclaimer, I'm still figuring out the formula. So it's not to say I've perfected it. But it is a great help in terms of promoting what you sell and putting information out there for people to understand. This is what I sell. This is the information that I have. Contact me. I can help you.
Okay. Here at NESC, I know we are still trying to figure out the formula of social media also.
Great, I understand.
What is the demand like, or like, have you seen any trends in sectors like construction, agriculture, oil and gas?
I mean, so each industry has its respective cycles, if you want to call it that. Construction is more really dependent on private sector, government spending, the economy in general. If the economy booming, people might want to build a house, they might want to develop some land. If the government is spending, you would get some activity in the industry. Agriculture is a bit different. I think some farmers depend on the moon cycles, depend on the time of the year, depending on what season they're in. It would dictate how they manage their crops, how they harvest their land, and so on and so on. But oil and gas and more industrial estate as well too, you'd get more, not really the need for heavy equipment, but like power systems and energy and marine side of stuff. You'd get gensets, compressors, engines to run like offshore rigs, standby power for if they need equipment or stations running 24/7, that kind of stuff.
And what type of clients do you see coming in? Is it more like bigger companies? Is it persons trying to start startups?
So in terms of customers that we see walking in, the bigger customers, majority of the times they have their contacts inside, so they won't just walk in. They would arrange a meeting to come in. A lot of times, the most common person to walk in is somebody who really now looking to start their business. They're looking to they bought one or two pieces of equipment and they're looking to maybe repair or replace, and they need more information on what we have available to them, what are their options, price ranges, budget, that kind of stuff.
Okay. And you would do your consultations and
Yeah.
try to guide them in the way.
As I said, we a big part of Caterpillar is not just, I'm not a salesman, I'm a customer representative.
Okay, understood.
So we really need to be, because a big thing with CAT is you need to make sure you put the right machine in the right application.
Okay.
You don't want to, if you say you want to dig a drain and I give you a bulldozer,
Yeah.
that's a no-no.
Noted. And what are some of your most common selling pieces of heavy equipment, and why do you think so?
I think the most common piece of equipment that people would buy is a backhoe. It's a very versatile machine, somewhat in a cost-friendly area. It's affordable, and you don't really pass a job site without having a backhoe, because it's, say you have if you want to unload trucks, if you want to dig a drain, if you want to go on load a truck from the stockpile, the backhoe is there and it's easily maneuverable around the site. I think it's the most common piece of equipment to see.
We know technology is transforming in every industry. From your perspective, have you seen any changes?
So it has 2 points I could touch on for that question. One is the general, well, actually, let me use the excavators as an example, right? So the general models of the excavators or machines in general, you'd have seen a big step towards utilization or maximizing utilization and refining the designs. So a good example is they used to have this thing called the pilot system in excavators, where you would have hydraulic lines running from the hydraulic pump all the way to the cab, and every input you would either open or close a valve, and that would send pressure to the hydraulic pump and then send to stick or the boom or respective component. Now you have technology where you call drive-by-wire, where you have electronic signals going to the hydraulic pump. This makes your machine a lot more responsive, and it utilizes a lot less. Like when I say a significantly less hydraulic oil, less hydraulic lines, and it saves the customer in cost for hydraulic hoses, oil, and the pump itself is used more efficiently. So this allows you a stronger excavator. This allows you a better machine. Now, people are skeptical about it. Now, not because it doesn't work, but rather because it's new. And I mean, sticking along the lines of excavators as well too. So just for example, for the people that do know, you have what you used to call like the 320 D2L, the 320 CL. Those were the classic machines. Cat continued with the classic design in what you call the 320 GX. These are the new model. This is a 320. Now, this machine does not come with all the bells and whistles. It's a pretty straightforward excavator. But they also made this 320 here, and they made a pretty advanced model as well. So you have two different options to choose from. One is just for simple digging, demolition, drainage, and they have one with a whole plethora of technological features. It comes with grade assist, lift assist, payload assist, and it's pretty advanced in terms of it could be very productive in a very high productivity environment. So they made that option as well. And Caterpillar, I can't speak for other brands,
Right.
but Caterpillar on a whole, they went ahead and did this across all their models where they made like next gen units. And this does scare people in the sense that, sensors and electronics and wires, but it is, if it's used correctly, it could cut your costs in half. It could help with labor. It could help with just the efficiency of a job site. So I mean, that you have to take it in moderation. So now when you're talking about technology, you have machines, you have your standard machines. When I say that is the standard of machines where they get the job done, an excavator will be an excavator. But for job sites that really require a more high demanding machine with specific utilization, you go for the more technically advanced machines.
Okay, good. That really sums it up. So for the young persons that study in heavy equipment in NESC, what's a good way for them to gain experience or get their footing into this industry?
For anybody who's looking to get into the industry, whether it be as a technician or operator, one thing I would recommend, NESC offers programs for them to get their certificates or diplomas, I believe, as well as, if you're not really trying to go down the education part, because it is limited in terms of where you could get specific training to get in this industry. A lot of people, where you'll find you go on a job site for the first time, you're not going to get put in a somebody's $1 million piece of equipment. You're going to have to work on the floor. You're going to have to pick up a shovel, lay a brick, but nothing is wrong with that. The main idea is when you go on the job site, you look and you see how the equipment operate. If you have technicians there on site, it's nothing to just go and observe what they're doing. It's nothing to see how the operators do different things around the job site, see how the machines move, the way that they dig trenches, the way that they take certain projects, and learn how they operate. And eventually, when the time does come that they ask you to sit down in the cab and operate, you have an understanding of what you are supposed to do. Now, learning the controls is one thing. Being comfortable inside, that's one thing. That will come with time. But understanding what the job entails is a whole separate thing. That's where I always say, get your education or get your experience.
So do you think that operators are open to newer, more advanced technology, or do you think that there is hesitation?
There is hesitation. The majority of real operators that you have outside in Trinidad right now, a lot of them would have learned their trade by experience. And that means operators who have 10, 20, 30 years of experience sitting down inside a cab and learning the machine that they would have operated for how much ever years. Now, you had a big jump in where the machines were from before to now. I would have talked about the differences in the fields of the machine, the different uses that the machines have now. And it is a bit overwhelming for some of them. No, operators, they will adapt. They are pretty adaptable people. I'll give them that. The operators who I have sold, who have been using newer equipment, they have gotten used to it over time. It is a big learning curve because it's not just about now just using the joysticks, using the foot pedals. It's more now about also using the machine correctly, making sure it's in the right mode, making sure you have the right tool on, making sure you have the right sensors on. And it does take a bit of getting used to, so there is hesitation. But I think people are warming up to the new improvements as they become a little more common in the environment.
So what you are saying is that there is a need to keep up with technology, or you will get left behind in 2025.
Not necessarily. There are still the standard machines that are a lot more easier to use, but you don't need rocket science to operate the machines. Again, the more they go out into the market and they are used, people will become more familiar with them. I take it just like how my mom couldn't use an iPhone, but I could use an iPhone.
Yeah.
But now I have no idea how to program a website or anything, but there are children now growing up who
Could code.
they could code, like I could read a book basically.
Yeah.
So I guess it comes with times as well too.
True. So for those who want to get into this field of heavy equipment, what advice would you give to them?
Well, I mean, using myself as an example, there are a lot of avenues to get involved with heavy equipment. You know, you have your basic means of access, which is your technical training, being a technician. You also have operations. You have been getting into construction as well. And then from my side, there's the sales part. There are a good bit of companies that sell heavy equipment, not just Caterpillar, but other brands as well too, that if you really wanted, you could go look into that. My advice would always be, education. When I was growing up, my mom pushed me to be educated because I wanted to go and play football and be in sports and all that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, education will take you. And if you do decide that, you want to be involved with heavy equipment, if you could get the experience, get the experience. But if you really don't have something waiting in front of you, take the time, make the sacrifice, go get educated. Again, NEC has the programs available here.
The program.
It is a foot into the door. I mean, you may not get your big position off the rip, but over time, with experience and understanding of the industry, you will see benefits.
So you mentioned you could sell them and you could drive them. What is the easiest piece of equipment and your hardest piece of equipment to drive?
Well, so again, with Caterpillar, if we sell the heavy equipment, we have to be able to at least understand how it feels, understand how it works, understand how it operates. Now, I haven't really gone out into a construction site and operated for and work a day work, but I have driven the majority of the equipment I have sold. I think the easiest piece of equipment to drive, in all honesty, is probably between an excavator and a backhoe. Because the backhoe is like driving a car.
Okay, so I could drive it.
Yeah, man.
Oh, you'll take me to drive it.
Yeah, man. With the excavators, they're pretty hard to lose control of. Now, it is easy to make a mistake in terms of swinging the boom and the stick. But in terms of tracking it forward and back, it's pretty straightforward.
Right.
I think the hardest piece of equipment, I mean, it's probably not the hardest, but I sweat a lot when I'm driving them, are the bulldozers, because they don't have a gas pedal. They have a decelerator. So you put it in drive, it's gonna take off.
Oh.
Now on a job site with big open areas to bulldoze or to grade down, that's not easy. You wanna it's gonna save your foot.
Yeah.
But me in a tight compound, taking it off a trailer, putting it on a trailer, it's pretty intimidating.
Yeah, that sounds very scary. So Christian, one last question. What is your hype song? What is your hype song? When you get into that excavator, what song are you playing to start the day?
I'm thinking my hype song would have to be, you ever heard of Shook Ones from Mobb Deep?
No.
You should give it a listen.
Yeah, okay, I will listen
Some proper
to it
music, I'm
after
telling you.
this podcast for sure. Okay, thank you so much, Christian, for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
And good luck driving your excavators.
Thank you very much.